Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. This is my first impressions of the INSDRGN C14 Pro. This is an electric scooter. It's rated at 750 watts. It has a peak wattage of 1200 watts or so. It's rated for about 20 miles per hour and it can carry 330 pounds. That's the rating at which it's been approved for. And I bought this a few months ago thanks to my friend Sean, who bought an electric scooter previously, and he showed me how valuable it could be playing around a disc golf using a scooter. You get to where you're going much quicker, you save a lot of energy, and so with him just playing one round with his scooter, it basically made me commit to getting one as well. So that's why I've got this. So I purchased this off Amazon for about $350, and it's basically a fun little ride. Now this is a direct-to-market sell. It's a Chinese manufacturer named This Above, that's what it's called. And they have basically a location here in the United States where they used to sell to Amazon, and that's where you get these off of, and it's very comparable to other e-scooters of the price range. So I'll give you my first impressions on this, but first I'm going to give you a brief tour of the scooter as it is and what I've done to it. I've done a couple mods. So as it is, it comes with these 14-inch tires. The battery is underneath here, and the motor is actually in the rear wheel. It's called a rear brushless hub motor. And you'll notice it actually has a headlight here, but it doesn't have a tail light. It has a reflector. This is in the same class as a bicycle, so it's okay if it has reflectors. You can drive it on some streets, typically based on your state law, 35 miles per hour or slower. Those kind of roads you can typically get on. Sidewalks you can typically ride on, except maybe in some neighborhoods per se, where maybe you can't ride it on the sidewalk. You have to ride it on the street in the neighborhood, that, for whatever reason. But it folds. This part here folds, and it's actually off to the side diagonally because when it faces forward, this tire is bent this way so that it occupies the least amount of space so you can park it. And it's got this basket here, which I had to move it back one set of screws because the screws that I had would not fit here. There were two holes here, two holes here. The two holes here were one thread or one tiny size smaller, so the screws that came with the bike, with the e-scooter, did not work. So I had to buy two slightly smaller screws and use those instead. But I also added this bag to it, this ZÜCA pouch, to the two screws here so I can hold my electronics here. And then I've got this bag here, which is my disc golf bag, which I can carry 10 discs, 4 drivers, 3 mid-ranges, 3 putters, a couple minis, and then I've got the ZÜCA. This is an add-on, as well as this pouch, and here, this is a ZÜCA pouch that can be used for hold trash, or you can put a big drink here. You can also hold some stuff here. And this mount actually came with it. I bought this little lightning cable. And just one note, this, when it charges slowly. This is not a fast charger, and if your phone is overheating, say you're playing in the heat of the day, it'll stop charging you. But this has such a long battery that I can typically charge my phone the entire way, keep it charged the whole way. But if it gets too hot, it'll just stop charging. It'll still be connected, but it won't be charging. And last but not least, I've got this right here. This is a GoPro mount, which that GoPro will be on here shortly, so I can show you around. But it's pretty nice. It's got front and rear brakes. It's got a battery indicator here that tells you how much battery you have. You've got this key here. You can turn it all the way on to turn the light on. This headlight will come on. Or you can keep it in the middle to where you run it during the day with no light, maybe save a little bit of battery. But yeah, that's it. It weighs about 65 pounds. It's about 51 inches long. This basket, I made it a few inches longer because I placed this here and I placed this here because I need to store some electronics for whenever I record content like disc golf rounds. But yeah, otherwise, I like what I've got here. I feel happy that I got it. And now let's show you around. Okay, so we're here at TC Jester. I'm going to ride around the park and tell you a little bit about why I chose this scooter, what I like about it, and how I'm going to use it in the future. One of the things that surprised me first was just how fast it is. Like, I know it's speed limited to like 20 miles per hour, but it gets to that pretty quick. And I think part of that is because I'm 142 pounds pre-close, like when I weigh myself every Sunday morning. So I think I basically have a little bit of an advantage as far as using these over someone that might be 100 pounds heavier, maybe 150 pounds heavier. But it's often a little too easy to get up to speed. And for someone my weight, and I haven't rode a bike a lot in the last couple of decades. I used to ride it a lot, but I never had an electric scooter before, or any sort of scooter, moped, motorcycle, any of that kind of stuff before. So this is all new to me. But yeah, I mean, the speed is the first thing that I noticed with this. Now it's rated, limited to 20 miles per hour. And even if you lift the rear wheel up and you gun it, if you put the throttle down 100%, it'll still only go the certain amount of speeds to get it to go 20 miles per hour. So that's good to know. But you really don't need it. And when you're playing on a disc golf course, you're not going to really be trying to go for that amount of speed most of the time, unless everyone's thrown off the tee and they're all going to their lies, and you can race up to your lie. Or if you're having a practice round, you can grab all your practice throws and go to the lie that you want to use, blah, blah, blah. But man, it's just such a fun thing to ride, and it kind of has revitalized my disc golf experience when I do use it, because I use a lot less energy when I'm playing, and I get to where I'm wanting to go faster. And you know, I can just sit on it anytime that I want, and I can mount a GoPro or a camera, a smartphone on it, and do whatever I need. I can modify this as needed to make it a better type of device for me. But man, I'm just loving it so far. But the speed, the other thing is the endurance, the stamina. The stamina this thing has. It has the ability to go. Now it says 20 to 30 miles, but realistically, I don't expect to go more than 20, even at my weight, unless, you know, you go very slow, you're on a flat surface, you're never gunning it, blah, blah, blah. But anyways, this does not have multiple speeds. It's just a one speed in terms of, it doesn't have a button where you press to go to like a slower mode, a medium mode, and a faster mode. It just has one mode, 20 miles an hour. The battery is certainly the second most important aspect of this scooter. I can basically ride it for 1 or 2 rounds of disc golf and probably have room to go a little bit more. I could play around a disc golf, go to the corner store, grab a drink, come back to the disc golf course, and have some fun. We're gonna go around this. Now, even though I do have fenders both in the front and the back, I don't want to get too much water, mud, etc. underneath it, because you do have to clean these. The last thing you want to do is go without. Driving up to hole 4 there, but I'm going to make this detour so we can come around from the other way. And more of this course is across the bayou over there, but there's really no reason for me to ride that here. Okay, now I'm going to take a return trip to the rest of the course from here. So this is my first video on my Nick Moto channel that is original content. The very first video that I uploaded was a quick video that I basically exported from Amazon.com, showing how to assemble this scooter. And in particular, that's a C14 scooter, not the C14 Pro or the newer C14 Max that just came out. But it applies to all 3 of them because they have the same essential design with very minor changes between them. I don't know why I decided to go to the T-pad, but I'm just going to keep driving here. But one thing you have to do every time you bring the scooter out, you know, you have to charge it after every day that you play. Basically, you want to keep a full charge when you're using this out there on the course. Tighten everything before you go ride, because sometimes when I put it in the car, some things get bent a little bit, putting it in the trunk because there's not a lot of room. So I have to make sure that everything's working right. You want to test both brakes when you get out, when you start using it. In fact, I'm going to stop to check the brakes. Sure enough, it works. All right, it's as good as I'm going to get it. First of all, I want to say that I knew what I was getting into, you know, when I was buying a Chinese electric scooter off the internet. But I figured, you know, buying from Amazon, where there's a warranty, and maybe I can get it sent back if it's defective, or it turns out to be not representative of what it is advertised. You know, my friend Sean, he bought his scooter like $275 or so, you know, tax, title, and license, basically out the door locally. But I wanted to search for the right scooter. I wanted it to have all the right features that I wanted. And one of the features I wanted was some sort of shocks. I wanted some sort of coil or spring or shock or strut, something to help pad all the riding that I'm going to do. I didn't want to just get the cheapest scooter possible just because I could afford it. I wanted to get something to fit all the bills. So this had what I wanted in terms of suspension, both front and back. And the seat is a soft seat. It's the softest seat that I've found on all electric scooters on Amazon. That they all come with a handful of different types of seats, and this is the one that looked the best to me. So I made sure, I was glad that it had this one on it. But I was pretty impressed with the quality overall, especially considering what I'm getting it for. You know, I bought it from a company that works out of Shenzhen. A lot of the Chinese electric scooters, much of the technology in China comes out of Shenzhen, that city. That's their technology town. And that's where this came from. And I even looked up the serial number on the hubless motor on the side of the rear wheel, and it tells me when my scooter was manufactured and so forth. It tells me some interesting stats about it. So I was pretty happy that this represents kind of the top of the line in terms of this price bracket, in terms of what features it has and the amount of money that I'm spending. But I did notice whenever I was assembling this scooter that there were some inaccuracies. In particular, the basket that I was trying to screw on to the back of the bike. It has 4 holes. The 2 holes that are closer to the seat, closer to the front of the bike, are a touch too small. And whenever I just couldn't, the screws literally wouldn't enter into the hole. I managed to get one partially in, but I couldn't screw it in all the way. So I managed to buy a couple screws that were literally one size smaller and use those. And at that point, I'd already screwed the basket back 2 slots to where it was just hanging on by the last 2 of the 4 screw holes with the nut and the screws. And that's on pretty good. And now I have this extra little pouch where I can store electronics and other odds and ends, keys, wallet, whatever I need, extra supplies, electronics, whatever. And it took me about 3 hours to assemble, and a lot of that was due to frustration. I just couldn't do certain things. You know, whenever I was assembling the wheels onto the bike, it was a chore getting them aligned, and then getting the calipers aligned. I still think the front calipers aren't perfectly aligned, but I'm content to do what I can with it. It's as good as I can do it. You know how there's a video, and it's the one that I have on my channel prior to this one. It shows you like 90–95% of what you need to do to assemble the C14 Pro and assumably the C14 Max. It changes a couple things, but you can pretty much figure out what you're doing from there. Also, one rear fender nut was missing, so I had to replace it with something of my own. One other thing I don't like personally is the basket is too skinny. Now it perfectly fits 10 discs. I can get 3 drivers, 3 mid-ranges, 3 putters, and then a 4th disc of some sort. And I typically just make it be a 4th driver. But I need to use a extra drink holder because this one doesn't come with one. The basket isn't sufficient to have enough room for 10 discs and a cup holder. Another thing I want to say is that the basket looks a little smaller in real life compared to the way it looks online. Online, it just seemed like it was a bigger device, and I was pretty happy with that look. But once I got it in person, it just seemed like maybe a touch too small. But I'm nitpicking at this point. I can always buy a third-party basket and put it on this scooter. I'm not really worried. All right, I'm going to circle back around here. Going back to TC Jester Park. All right, sorry, I'm learning how to get this mount looking properly. This camera needs to be mounted properly. I thought about using my GoPro head mount, but I was unsure that I could get the shots that I wanted. It's so hard to get that aligned. You'd have to look at the screen on your phone and do a bunch of stuff, and then if it drifts anywhere while you're filming, you don't notice it until post. So that's why I'm using this particular mount. So yeah, the only complications I had really were due to the screw holes being a tiny bit too short, one part being missing, but these are all common parts you can go to Home Depot and buy, and I managed to have the parts that I needed and was able to assemble the bike just fine. I took my time. Another thing is the charger takes about 5 to 6 hours to charge from empty, and I've never gotten this fully empty, but most I've ever had this thing charged was about 4 hours, and I was after playing 2 rounds of disc golf with it. So I do expect that battery life to die a little bit over time, but I don't expect this to last perfectly for 10 years. I do expect to do some maintenance on this in the future and just try to take care of it. But it has a 1300 watt peak power, but it's rated at 750, and that's what the serial number on the motor says, that it's a 750 watt motor. But yeah, I'm thoroughly happy with this scooter. I'm gonna keep playing rounds of disc golf with it when and where I can. I'm gonna also use it to get better at riding, because this is something I used to do a lot, particularly on a bike. Now that I've got a scooter, I will be using that. So now I'm just gonna ride all the way back to the car. Let's see if we can get a little bit of speed. Oh shit, my hat is trying to come off if I go any faster. Sorry guys. Let me see if I can grab the hat real quick. Okay, I grabbed the hat so it won't fall off. Holy shit. This is scary for me. I'm sorry guys. I'm 55, prone to injury. This is probably not something I should do. I'm not going for the max speed. I'm not going more than 15. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to slow this thing down. Getting a little scared. I'm gonna go back up to about 15. Going to 20. I'm floored. I'm floored. It's the best I can do. This is the best I can do. Best I can do. All right, I'm gonna have to calm it down right about here. All right, there we go. There we go. I was getting a little scared. I'm an old guy. I'm not supposed to be doing this shit. Have I told you I'm not that good at riding? All right, we've done it. We've done it. So yeah, that's gonna do it for this first impressions video of the INSDRGN C14 Pro. I really like this. I've become a fan of it overnight. I think I made a good purchase, and it's something I'm gonna keep learning how to use, and I'm gonna make more modifications to it. And so you're welcome to subscribe to my channel, which is Nick Carroll Moto, which is all the, you know, little scooters or maybe motorcycles or any sort of two-wheelers or more that I might try to ride. I'll put on the channel, maybe give first impressions and reviews. And then my disc golf channel, which I play disc golf on different courses around Houston, and I'll be using my scooter to play those. Anyways, that's going to do it. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.